Skyrim Anniversary Edition has been out for over a year now, and with it came a whole lot of new content. There are 26 new creations to play through, but there are also the ones that have been out in the game for some time now, which brings us to a total of 74. But was Anniversary Edition really what we all wanted, and was it worth the $20 price tag put on top of the base game? And what is up guys, and from the Denmen here, and today we'll be taking a look back at Skyrim's Anniversary Edition and seeing if it was as good as we all remember. There are a lot of different parts to the latest re-release, and with it, a lot of reasons to jump back into the game. So if you are excited, make sure you hit that like button and comment what you thought of the Anniversary Edition. We're gonna go through all that the Anniversary Edition has to offer, so kick back, grab that bottle of Blackbriar mead, and let's get right into the video. Starting off, I think we need to talk about Skyrim. To fully understand what we got for the Anniversary Edition, we need to see the difference between the two. Now, Skyrim is a very large and expansive world with plenty of secrets to find and quests to complete. The world of the Elder Scrolls V is set in one of fantasy and akin to what you would find in medieval stories. Just traversing the lands and stumbling across a band of vampires or finding a letter to a lost treasure will make the player want to find all of the secrets to the game. It really feels like every single time you play Skyrim, a new experience happens for the player and there will always be something new to find. The world itself is very stunning and certainly immersive. There's just so much to do and see in Skyrim, and when you think you've seen it all, something new just pops up out of nowhere. But to be honest, there's a very good reason why Skyrim to this day is one of the most played games of all time. The modding community has been hard at work from the moment that Skyrim released, coming up with new worlds to travel to, weapons to use, and quests to complete. There are still so many people creating unique mods every day for the game, and this will not stop for a long time. We actually just covered one of the biggest mods of all time with Beyond Skyrim, so if you missed that, link will be in the description box below. On top of the base game and mods, we have seen Skyrim go through a number of re-releases, with the most famous being that of the Special Edition all the way back in 2016. With it, we saw an entire graphic overhaul as well as mods on consoles. Now that we talked a little about how Skyrim is so successful, this brings us to where we are today with the Anniversary Edition. Let's just get this right out of the way. If you are a fan of Skyrim and looking for a reason to start a new playthrough, now is the time to do so. There's so much that came with the Anniversary Edition, and having all the new content is something of a refresher for the game. It has been a little while since we got something different and unique coming to Skyrim, and all of the creations really make it worthwhile. I will say $20 isn't too bad for the amount of content that we actually are getting with it. For the people who have never bought anything from the Creation Club, there are a total of 74 different creations to dive into. The scale differs from content to content, with Bethesda counting an alternate armor as one, but then there's also something like Saints and Seducers, which is basically its own mini DLC. We also have to take into consideration when the creation was made. Back when Creation Club first came out, the content was pretty lackluster and would take 10 minutes to run through. They started to change this over time with actual quests that take some time to complete and actually be pretty fun. You can really see the difference between the earlier stages compared to when the Creation Club was just wrapping up. Most of the new content is pretty similar to that of the later stages, with new quests like the Cause and Ghost of the Tribunal. It's not just these being interesting either. Surprisingly, farming is one of the best that I've played through because of the overall design of it. You will definitely find a lot of uniqueness with the newer ones, but even the weapon and armor creations from when Creation Club first came out, like Divine Crusader, have been a staple for my early playthroughs. It will for sure not disappoint from a content side, with plenty to do and see. I will say that one thing I did find annoying was how there was no in-game tab for the Creation Club itself. Most of the time when I was looking around for the various new creations, I would find myself exiting out to the main menu or looking up on Google how to start one of the quests. This is such a minor thing, but it did take me out of the immersion of Skyrim every once in a while I was looking at how to start a specific creation. Other than that, all of the latest content and features have been enjoyable and has been quite the refresher for the game. Even when I wasn't actively searching for all of the new content, I would find myself just roaming the world and exploring everything Skyrim has to offer. That is exactly where Anniversary Edition hits the target, when they can just envelop you into the same world that you've been playing through for over 10 years now. It didn't seem like a burden playing through all of the quests that have been there since day one either. I can say with certainty that Anniversary Edition is exactly what Skyrim needed to bring people back into the world. All of the new creations were just an add-on and not the main thing that I was focusing on once I started to actually get into the guild questline or something like the Dragonborn DLC. Once I did start playing through all of the different creations, it was still enjoyable even then. The latest batch of them is actually something that I highly recommend. The only problem that I had with them is the lack of unique dialogue. In some cases, you're able to start dialogue options with NPCs from these creations, except they have nothing important towards the story to say. There were a couple of missed opportunities with something like the Cause, which could have heavily benefited from some type of unique dialogue to expand on the lore of the Mythic Dawn. Instead, Bethesda decided to opt into using books and notes to convey the story they are trying to tell. This decision is fine, but the content just loses some of its immersion with the weird dialogue and having to read everything. The new Creation Club itself, though, is some of the best we have ever seen. The bigger quest size ones like the Cause and Ghost of the Tribunal rely heavily on nostalgia and are pretty fun to play through as well. Taking a look at Ghost of the Tribunal, I really enjoyed all of the different weapons and armor you're able to get. Especially the Ordinator set, which has always been one of the best looking armors throughout the Elder Scrolls series. There were also smaller ones like Bitter Cup, which took me by surprise. In the quest itself, you're able to pick between 3 different paths. Depending on which one you pick, that would be the version of the quest that you play through. If I hadn't decided to try it on a different character, I would have never thought there would have been so many options to the Bitter Cup quest, and that is the amount of diversity there is with all of the creations. There are still the basic ones like the contest, which takes the player on a quest to fight the Web Mother, which is from the Elder Scrolls Blades. The nod to the mobile game is interesting to see, and I'm glad that something like this exists. The quest itself was pretty standard and what you would expect, but nonetheless, it was fun to play through. I also really enjoyed some of the weapons we got to see, from Goldbrand to the Bow of Shadows and even the Headsman Cleaver. Goldbrand had a really good quest tied to it, and the weapon looks really unique compared to others. I'd likely never actually use the weapon compared to others out there, but it is for sure one that I can save for the collections. Headsman Cleaver, on the other hand, is one of the more generic quests, but I do enjoy the design of the weapon itself. Then there's the Bow of Shadows, which for the sneak archers out there, this would be the weapon for you. Being able to turn invisible and have the weapon draw speed be 20% faster is something that is really useful. I enjoyed playing around with them for a little bit, but overall, I found myself using the same weapons after a little while. As you can probably tell from the many videos on our channel, the houses in Skyrim are some of my favorite pieces of content, and I can say that the Creation Club did not disappoint with them. Even though I still enjoy a lot of the base houses like Breezehome or Honeyside, a lot of them just don't compare to the level of design we saw in the Creation Club. Each one of these new homes had a distinct feel to it that you just can't find in the base game. Think of those like Bloodshale Manor or Mirwatch, and you could just tell why they were made and what purpose they have. Not to mention, these Creation Club homes all fit a certain aspect of the game. Think of Gallows Hall, that's necromancers, right? Or take a look at Shadowfoot Sanctum, easy, that's for our thieves out there. What about Hendrheim? I think this one is for our hardy Nords out there. Take a look at all of the different houses that came in the Anniversary Edition, and it's easy to see that there is so much to choose from. On top of that, it can also fit certain playstyles really well and leans into the idea of builds for Skyrim. I'm not saying that the base homes are bad, because they're not, but a lot of them lack the creativity that we see in the Creation Club. This is probably the one area where I can say that I enjoy the content of this over what we got from Bethesda, and that is hard enough as it is. But the level of consistency that we see through these homes is amazing and something that I highly recommend. Anniversary Edition brought a lot to the game of Skyrim. The fact that I was able to explore both the new and old content simultaneously is something that I think Bethesda did really well. They brought in the creations seamlessly within the game world, and it really feels like they were there the whole time. The question is though, is Anniversary Edition as good as we all remember? For the amount of content you would be getting in it and all of the other extra playtime hours, I'd say Skyrim's latest re-release is something that anybody can enjoy. Whether that be veteran players looking at the new things to do in the world of Elder Scrolls, or people who are just buying the game for the first time, this is one you don't want to miss out on. I can say that all of the new creations are unique in their own way and fill a part of something that has been missing. Whether that be the new quest, weapons and armor, or even the houses, there's a lot to see and do in the lands of Skyrim. But that is all for me now though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.